truth is that the child's intelligence is fluid, intuitive, and curious, and each child has a different way of approaching the learning experience, while the technology is more logic and it's a machine, so it's more linear. And the fact that these two different intelligence meet each other, it gives students a great power to learn and to use a tool in different ways. And so we truly believe on that. And for this reason, we here at La Scuola, our philosophy is that we want to use technology and we want to empower our students not only to learn about what is technology, what does that mean, what kind of device there are in the world, but also learning through technology. So the technology is really just a tool that we can use in different ways to have a deeper knowledge about what we learn, every concept that we do in class. So one of our main points is really, we truly believe on the concept of digital citizenship. As you know, right now we have technology all around us, and I mean our students are actually native digital, so they know about it since the day they born actually. And actually, by looking at our three different approaches, that is the Reggio Emilia approach, the International Baccalaureate, and the Italian Ministry of Education, all the documents talk about technology. And here there are some main points about how important it is to implement the digital world in the class. So here at La Scuola, some years ago, we created a technology committee that is composed of me. I am the technology educator coordinator, and my role is actually to take care of all the devices and all the platforms that the students use from pre-K through 8th grade. Then we have our IT department that is actually an external IT department, and the main collaborator is Rafi Patatian. It's not here today, but he's always collaborating with us and it's always helping us, making sure that we have everything. We have a safe environment, a safe digital environment at La Scuola. And then there is Sally that is also here with us today, and she's the director of teaching and learning in K through 8. So what is the role of the technology committee at La Scuola? Our role is to make sure that we always research about the platform and the device that we use every day with our students. Our role is also we need to develop a curriculum, and of course we have a curriculum that we use every year, but we review this curriculum every summer to make sure that it is on top of our ideas and it's linked to our approaches and our philosophy. We support the teachers, the students, and the whole community around the idea and the concept of technology and how we use those devices. And we also reflect on all the activities that we do in class. So every single time we go into a class, or I go into a class and I teach, is always a moment for me also to reflect with my students, with my co-teachers about what did we learn, how can we implement technology. And so it's really about planning, reflecting, and making sure that the students can use technology in everything that they do every day. So very briefly, we created, I say we because it was a group effort idea, and so Sally and Alice, that was the pre-K technology coordinator last year, we created La Scuola technology curriculum. And what it was really important for us, it was to create a curriculum that started in preschool and it goes through 8th grade. So there is a continuum in how we approach technology and how we approach the concept that we do with technology. Remember that our mission is to learn about technology and to learn through technology. So in preschool, we also know that our students have an attention span that is very low. They prefer to do hands-on activities, and they really want to explore. They are super curious about the world and the environment around them. So what we do is really use the technology in the environment. They can experiment, and for example, they use a lot the projector, the concept of lights. They really have an active interaction with technology. In K through fifth grade, we actually divide that in two main groups, I would say. So K through second grade, students learn and we introduce the concept of coding through robots, because still our students they are really curious and they want to do a lot of hands-on activities. Plus, we really believe in the concept of staying on the screen for a lot of time during the day. It's not safe and it's not healthy. So we really use robotics to introduce the concept of coding. Starting in grade 3, every student gets a Chromebook that is provided by La Scuola. And so between third grade and fifth grade, our students learn the Google Suite for Education. So every year we start learning about Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Form, Google Spreadsheet. We also start the concept of digital citizen through a program that is called Internet Awesome, and is divided in 4 main parts. That is about being safe when we use internet, how to do a research, how to make sure that all the resources that we are using are reliable, making sure that when we share something, it's we need to make sure to know the person, and also about how do I create my password, what are the pro and the cons of having a strong password, and so on. We also believe that technology is always part of the 100 languages. So in Reggio Emilia, the Reggio Emilia approach believe that the students learn through different languages. And that's part of the fact that all our students use different approach to learn. And so technology could be used as one of the tools, as one of the language to learn and to share their knowledge with the community. When we go into middle school, so in grade 6 through 8, our students already know a lot of our students know about Google Slides. They know about the safety and the concept of research and how to use internet in a safe environment. So we go even deeper into coding, and they create their first website. So they learn a little bit about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and they create their first website. They also learn Adobe Suite, or part of the Adobe Suite. So we focus more on Photoshop, so photo editing, Adobe Premiere Pro, video editing, and InDesign. And also technology become part of the design cycle. So we learn how to solve problems, and sometimes we use technology. We use the concept of design thinking to solve technology problem. I'm gonna go now deeper in each part of La Scuola. So we're gonna start with preschool. As you can see here, there are some very powerful images, I think. Every single day, as you can see, the environment is really an active part of the technology learning. Teachers in pre-K use technology to expand the learning journey of our students. We support the relationship and the interaction with the technology. So it is part of our job to make sure that every single time a student is interacting with part of the technology, they are supported and they can reflect on how this technology works, how this technology is helping us to go even further on our learning experience. And it's also a way to learn about how can we solve problems, or how can we learn to create and think around technology. So for example, what I really love about it is that here there is a child that is actually learning about, that was a project in which the students were learning about different kind of territories. And so we use the platform called Google Expedition. That is actually a virtual reality, augmented reality platform. And so the students were able to actually see different territories, even if they were in the class. And it was so interesting to see at this young age how they were interacting with this kind of technology, and the fact that they were actually walking in the class to kind of like understand, oh, what's happening? when I took off the glasses, I am in class, but when I have these glasses, I'm actually in the desert. And so that was really amazing. We also start to use some kind of robots in mostly in Grandissimi. This is the last year in pre-K, and we do that to actually have a continuum in the with kindergarten, that's the year after. So we kind of create this continuum between Grandissimi and kindergarten. And so Grandissimi have the possibility to start learning the concept of coding. Sometimes they also use the projector, and what we really believe is that the students we have an eye image of the child, and for this reason, they are in charge of turn on the projector. How can we use it? What is the projector? Why is this light working in this way? What can we do with that? And sometimes they also interact with the projector. So they play with shadows and objects, and they see and experiment around that. So we have a video. I'm going to try to show you the video now. Let me know if you can hear. I'm gonna just pause here. I think we're gonna share this presentation with you all, but I can also share the video if you're interested. So as you can see here, the students were really like starting to, they were exploring the body parts, and the way they decided to do that was by using the idea of the webcam with a projector. And so that gives us the possibility to actually go even deeper on this concept. And so what they did actually was connecting a webcam, and then some students were actually playing with the webcam while some others were going into the mirror. And then all of a sudden they had the same image all over and over, and they were super interested in that. So you can even imagine, like you can just imagine what was happening in that class. As I was saying before, from kindergarten through second grade, we do a lot of unplugged activities, hands-on activities. We use some robots to learn the concept of coding, but what we try to do is always implement the concept of coding into the other subject. So for example, here we have some photos, and this is, for example, a kindergarten class. And so what they were doing, this is called Bebot, and there are some buttons, like direction buttons on the top of the robot. And so what the students were learning were actually learning how to write Italian words with a robot. So each student had to find a word, and so the teacher was putting the robot on an empty square, and then the students had to find the right words by coding the robot. So it's really a way, it's an open dialogue in which technology is not just by itself, but it's part of our daily life. And this is the way we really want to think about technology, because this is what we do every day. If you think about, we use computer to learn something, a specific concept that has to do with our works or with our research. So this is what we really want to share with our students. We use different robots. So Bebot is a bee here. And then we also use Dash, that's the blue one here. And sometimes we also use the EvoBot. This is a small robot that we mostly use in first grade, and it's really fun because actually it works with color coding. So depending on the color of the sequence of color that we put, the robot moves in a specific way. And so this is the first step where we go from, oh, we start with the concept of direction, and then we move into the concept of looping thanks to Evo robot. So I'm gonna show you this video. This is actually a project that we made 2 years ago, and it's about the exhibit. So our students were learning about an Italian writer called Gianni Rodari, and Gianni Rodari wrote a story called La Freccia Azzurra. So we read the book, and then our students decided to actually share their knowledge, share the story with the rest of the community by creating a path, and the robot was actually acting out the whole story. And so this is part of the project. The video is 7 minutes long. I'm gonna just show you 1 minute. I hope you enjoyed that. All right. Nope. Sorry. Okay. So moving on, in grade 3 through 5, our students approached the Chromebook for the first time. So we created a 101 Chromebook program in which they really learn from the basic tool that they need, how to turn on and off the Chromebook, how do we update the Chromebook, what is Chrome OS, and how can we use the Chromebook, what does that mean to have a Chromebook instead of a computer. So the fact that we have a cloud memory, we use Google Drive. And so because we are using a Chromebook, we decided to focus on the Google Suite for Education. All our students throughout the years learn all the platforms that are included in the Google Suite for Education. So in grade 3 is mostly about Google Doc, Google Slide. Then we move into Google Maps. In grade 4, they start to use Google Spreadsheet, Google Forms. And then in grade 5, it's about Google Earth. So we start to also use the concept of 3D. Sometimes we also start to introduce the concept of 3D printing. We have actually a 3D printer here at school. So we use also some programs that help us understanding how to use it. And we learn the concept of virtual reality. Some of them continue to use part of the robotics. So we actually move into Sphero. This is like a small robot, and it's actually like a small ball. And but thanks to Sphero, we can actually start to coding with JavaScript. And we also use the platform called code.org. It's a free platform for education. And our students learn about, they actually use code.org to transfer their hands-on activity knowledge that they made in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade through the computer. So we restarted with the concept of sequence, looping, events, function, but instead of doing that with a robot, they do that with the computer. And then at the end of the 5th grade, our students has a great project called the PYP exhibit, and this is part of our IB program. And so the technology really becomes part like a tool to make sure that our students can use it and they can actually decide which platform to use to present their project. And last but not least, digital citizenship. So as I was saying before, Internet Awesome is the platform that we use to make sure that they know how to use the computer safely, and they really need to understand the concept of technology as a tool. So it's their power to learn how to use that safely and responsibly. I also have a video, and this is about last year exhibit, PYP exhibit. So two of our students actually decided to create a Google slide presentation, Google website, in which they were talking about a project, a community project that they were doing, and they implemented also a Google spreadsheet that they shared with the whole community, and it was about getting money for an organization that was helping the homeless people here in Mission. So this is their way. The fun part about that is that they created this, those two students created the Google website, the Google spreadsheet, and behind the camera, I had some other students taking care of the audio and the video part. So it was really like a collaboration moment for all of us.
Ciao, io sono Antoine e lui è Max. Il nostro progetto attuale è di uguaglianza economico e energia rigenerabile. Il nostro idea centrale è economic inequality and scalability of renewable energy. Per prendere azione, Max e io facciamo un focus on fundraiser per development. Week 4. We choose our mentor to introduce and created on key concepts, find the inquiries, and we chose our central idea. Our central idea is economic inequality and the availability of it. 3. We brainstormed action ideas and we found our expert is a scientist. His name is Eshan, but he wasn't available. So Letizia focused on the new expert and character solved and built towards the end of week 3, we chose our action items, which was doing the multiple for theory of security alternatives, and we created our action items.
So again, I'm gonna just show you parts of it, but I hope it was clear that I had some students taking care of presenting the website. So while the other were actually presenting their website, some others were actually behind the scene, taking care of the audio and the video parts, and also moving into the Google website tab. So that was really like a collaboration moment for all of us. The good part is that we then gave those video recording to our middle schooler, and they were in charge of video editing the whole video for the PYP exhibit. And this video were actually shared with the whole La Scuola community. Moving on, we have middle school. So in middle school at that point, our idea is that our students know how to use the Chromebook. They have an idea of the concept of digital citizen. They know that the Chromebook is a tool, and each student still has a one-on-one Chromebook. But we kind of like move even further on our technology concept, and so we start also to teach them some specific coding languages so that they can use them to also when they go into high school. So we focus on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript mostly, and they create their first website. And then here, because they are more independent, and they really they really are curious of learning different things. We ask them if they have some specific tools or some specific platforms that they want to learn. And most of the time is about video editing, film editing, stop motion, music. So some of them create podcasts or they record music. Some others are focusing more on 3D printing. Sometimes it's about web design. So we're really trying to support their interest, their daily interest, by giving them different platform and different device that they can use to explore their interest. Here we have a stop motion project that was made by one of our 8th grader last year. Again, it's about the story. And so these students decided to actually tell the story by doing a stop motion video and by using their Legos to do it.
Oh, grazie, puoi averlo se vuoi. Io non osservo.
Oh, grazie.
Wow, sono un cowboy. Wow, sono nel polizia. Ti piaceva la bastone, bambino? Sì, molto, grazie.
So this whole story is about the magic stick that this person gets, and throughout the sticks, he can actually go around and have different experiences. And so this whole project related to technology was about making the stop motion video, and then there was the whole audio part and also the sound effects. So it was really a big project that went on for many different weeks, but the students was enjoying that a lot. And also he started to collaborate with some of his peers. So it was a great project for all of us. I'm gonna let Sally talk about the benefit of technology. All right.
Great, grazie Chiara. If there's anyone who can present a very comprehensive and in-depth explanation of technology curriculum at La Scuola and experience, it's Chiara Ferretti, so grazie. And before I just summarize the benefits, I believe Valentina Imbeni is here. If you wanted to welcome her in, our head of school. And let's see. And if she isn't, I'll start talking, and then I just want to be sure that we have a chance to hear from her. So as you've heard, the benefits are far and wide, and as we bring in technology into La Scuola, and through all the years that Chiara and I collaborate, even just listening today again with you all, I really begin to see and see this continuum as technology as a tool, especially in the 3rd through 5th grade, as we put these tools for learning. So technology as a tool for learning. And then as they move into the upper elementary and middle school, it's technology as a landscape for learning. And so, how I want to speak to this, I can speak to I'll take an example of 3rd grade English class. So in 3rd grade, this is the moment when students are learning their homeroom instruction. So their core courses such as mathematics and Italian and English and inquiry, social studies and science. It's 50-50 instruction. So it's 50% Italian and 50% English. Prior to 3rd grade, it's 80% and 70% Italian. So in 3rd grade, spelling and learning those very complicated spelling patterns in English is essential. And we differentiate, as if you've been to any of our other presentations or been on campus, you know La Scuola differentiates the learning so we can meet students where they are. And last night at our presentation, students spoke about how in fact, educators do meet students where they are. So 3rd grade spelling is differentiated. Students may be at a different stage or phase. So there may be 4 or 5 different groups of students working on different sets of words. And of course, we want to get to that end game. So how do we do this? This is where we use technology intentionally and flexibly. Students receive an explanation of their words that they're going to study for the week. And it's on our platform, which is called Toddle, which is a technology platform that's designed for international baccalaureate schools. And the students will go on and they'll have an explanation of their words. And for me as an educator, this would be a tool for differentiation. And so for the students, I just asked them earlier this week, what is the value for going on to Toddle and listening to this video explanation? And here are some of the responses. One student said, well, now I can see how I can pronunciate. So this is a student who speaks Spanish and Italian in the home. She's learning English in the school. She says, when you go through this list, I know the correct pronunciation, which will help, again, her learning, her spelling development. Another student said, Sally, when there's an overview of what the spelling rule is, what the keywords are, and what the list of words are, you've given us a jump start. So a student sees this tool as a jump start because in the classroom, they're actually cutting up words and sorting them and writing sentences. But here they have a personalized palette. And the third student said, I can go back to this over and over again. So we've laid this groundwork. Here are your words for the week. Here's how you're going to organize. Here's the rule. And these students can go back and hear that adult direction, which they may not be if it's done in the class. And then at the other end, in the assessment, we verbalize the list. So each student just today will get an assignment in their platform, and they'll have 6 words out of the 24 that they'll need to spell. They listen, and then they'll spell them out. So again, I just want to speak to this very intentional aspect of technology as a tool, and the field work, that the landscape that students move through on their journey at La Scuola. Thank you.
All right. So that was our presentation. Now we have some time left for question, if you have any. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can see you all. Here we go. If you have any question, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself.
I see Chase. Hi Chase, go for it. Hi Nicole. Allora, ciao Chiara e tutti, grazie per questa bella presentazione. My question is, are there opportunities for parents to volunteer as part of the technology curriculum? My kids are very passionate about technology. I have a first grader who loves Scratch, and I'm just wondering, how can parents engage or support the technology curriculum of the school?
That is great. Yes, actually, we are always looking for parents that are willing to share their knowledge about technology. You know, we are more than aware that we are in the Silicon Valley, and you know, people really knows about it. So as part of the technology, like as being part of the technology committee, and we were saying, you know, one of our role is also to make sure that we research and we make sure that we have different tools. So we are always curious to know if the parents know about something, or sometimes, you know, if we have some parents that are expert in a specific platform, we invite them into the class. Just to give you an example, I am also the design teacher in middle school, and we were discussing the concept of graphic design. And so our students were really into the idea of how do we create a magazine. And so at that point, you know, I am the design teacher. I get through, okay, like I can do like the design thinking, but like how I don't really know how to create a magazine. And so I actually invited one of the parents that is a graphic designer, and she helped us not only understand the content of a magazine, but also what kind of tool to use. So she introduced us to InDesign. That is actually, I know part of it, but having a parent that use this tool every day was really like mind-blowing, not only for my students, but also for me. And so then I was discussing with her before in terms of like, oh, but my students use the Chromebook, so maybe InDesign is not available for everyone. And so at the end, we decided to use Canva. And the good part that was that at the end of the project, the parent was able to use her InDesign expertise also into Canva. So she was also like very happy on knowing this new platform. And actually it was really a moment, like a learning moment for all of us. So we always are doing it. And also like part of Scratch, we don't use it every day, but I also know that most of my students use Scratch at home. And so I'm always interested in what they do. We are always interested in what they do. And so sometimes they comes into the class and they will be like, oh, I created that. So it might be that, if they do that by themselves or with the parents, we invite you, or we invite the students to share their project that they do also in their free time.
No, that's great. I mean, I really, our family, I think, is most interested in the Italian aspect of the school, because we speak Italian at home. But I really love what you have to say about limiting screens in the classroom. Paola the other day was very on message with, technology as a tool, and I agree with that. So it's great to know that parents can be more involved and support the school and organize, extracurricular activities or in the classroom activities that support the learning. I'll put myself back on mute. Grazie.
Grazie a te.
Are there other questions? Please feel free to put them in the chat as well.
If nobody has questions, I have a second one, but I want to give others an opportunity. Nobody is jumping off mute, so I'll just run with it. Could you give an example of the differentiated technology curriculum? Just in action, hey, we had one student who was either more comfortable or less comfortable with technology, and this is how it actualized in the classroom.
Yeah. So if I have to think about one of the things that we do, in grade 3, 4, and 5, our students also learn how to type with a computer, with a Chromebook. So typing, we use a platform called Typing Club. And so what we do there is that each student has an account, and at the beginning, they really have all the same basic activities, But then we also know that sometimes some students they need extra support related to maybe, we have a student that is like slower than the other or has like dyslexia. So it might be challenging for them to go at the same pace of the other students. And so we truly talk to the students and we really listen to them every single day. And they come to us saying, I'm having a really challenging time to go through this level. And then we discuss together, we try together, and we try to understand what's happening, what can we do. And so throughout that and throughout the platform, sometimes we can give them extra tools. This is what the platform we decide to use at La Scuola are helping us to do it. So they are all educational platforms because we want to make sure that they feel comfortable and they feel empowered by using the technology. Some other times, especially in the 4th grade, 5th grade, when they have like an idea of, what is a Chromebook or something, they start to use the technology in different ways. So it's more personalized, I would say. So like, for example, when they do their PYP exhibit, they have the power to decide which tool to use. And that has mostly to do what I am feeling more comfortable in creating a website, in creating a form, in creating a spreadsheet. And so this is the way in which we kind of like differentiate their learning. And that's part of the Reggio Emilia approach when we say we are more than aware that our students and all of us will learn in different ways. And so throughout the lesson, we normally have one lesson about technology every week, in which I kind of like go into the class and explain to them the platform. And then starting with that, I gave them time to explore the platform by themselves. And then we have an open discussion in the class, or also like a one-on-one discussion in which we try to understand what are their interests, what can we do. This is kind of like the differentiation. And sometimes the computer also becomes a tool. Like sometimes students prefer to type instead of writing. And so we kind of like try to balance that too, you know, like, oh, maybe you can use more typing in this case, while, you know, if it's Italiano or Inglese, sometimes they need to write. So it's like, how can we balance that together?
Thank you.
Of course.
I see we are right at time at 1:15. I just want to give just one last chance for any other questions.
I see a question in the, sorry, I need to read that. It's direct to me, sorry.
It's okay.
So this says, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Thank you. We understand a lot how IB curriculum works for the younger kids, of course. How does the curriculum evolve as the children get into middle school? For example, how do they come up with the projects? All right, so thinking about IB, I think you're gonna have a spotlight about IB probably. Okay, so the idea is that we are following mostly we follow the primary years program from pre-K through 5th grade. And one of the big differences is that in that program, all the subjects are transdisciplinary. So the students follow a curriculum divided by units, and the units we do, every unit is like a big theme, like could be families. Right now in 3rd grade, we are doing indigenous people. So it's a big theme, and we explore this specific theme in all the subjects. So we do indigenous people in English, math, science, Italiano, music, arts, and so on. In middle school, so the middle years program is divided in interdisciplinary units. So that means that the student has different units depending on the subject that they are doing. So for example, I am the design teachers, and so they are doing right now, they're doing some units that are focused on the design thinking concept. And at the same time, they're doing one unit in humanities, one unit in Italiano, one unit in English, and it goes on and on and on. So what happens sometimes is that the technology is in all the subjects and all the units that we do. We don't see the technology divided by what we do every day. So what we say to them is like, for example, my design students, like an example was this magazine. I asked my student to create a magazine. I asked them to use Canva because that was the final platform that we decided to explore. And it was really like an open dialogue with my students. But the way they created their magazine was so different. So they were empowered by deciding, what is your table of content? What is the organization of the page? What's the design that you're gonna use in everything that you're doing? In that way, they are all, most of the time, they are all exploring the same platform, or they are mostly use the same tool, but they personalize the way they use it. We also, especially in middle school, we have a weekly lesson called the Atelier of Democracy and Culture, in which the students are in charge of their projects. So right now they are all doing different projects, and so they use technology in that case. So sometimes some of them are creating, for example, they are talking about gender inclusivity and gender. And so they're creating a website and Google's presentation. Some others they are creating a winter ball for all the people. So they are working on set design, light design, sound design. That is really a moment in which we kind of like say to our student, you have all those tools, you all know all those tools are available for you. How can you use them in a responsible and safe way?
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Grazie, Chiara and Sally. You guys are amazing. And thank you to all of the families that joined us this afternoon. We will be sending this recording out to you, so you can reference it again. And as always, if you have questions about anything that you heard here or questions on the admissions process, please reach out to me and or Paola, and we are here for you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Grazie.
Everybody, arrivederci.